Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. I want you to know that you are greatly appreciated. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Ever since I started this channel, my goal was to provide our viewers and subscribers with the latest news, the most current news pertaining to the country, the economy, and by extension, your money. Many of our viewers and subscribers have been waiting for months, Now, keep in mind, back in March, which seems like another day and age, another dimension, Congress got together. There was bipartisan support for the $3 trillion CARES Act. It was just a mind-blowing show of bipartisanship, and the country came together. The Republicans came together, the Democrats came together, everybody came together. But since then, there has been a lot of bickering. There has been a lot of changing of positions from both sides. It has just been unbelievable how much strife there has been. Everybody has shifted positions. House Speaker Pelosi has shifted positions. And to be honest, when I analyze all of this, I see House Speaker Pelosi having come down significantly. The Senate Majority Leader, in my interpretation, remained relatively firm in his position. The President changed positions quite dramatically. And I just want our viewers and subscribers to know that I believe everyone is at fault. And I believe that even if Speaker Pelosi had accepted the $1.9 trillion package that was provided by the US Secretary Mnuchin, we will never know. And I believe it was highly, highly unlikely that Senate Republicans would have passed it. In fact, Senate Republicans specifically said that they were not in favor of a $1.9 trillion package. Now, I know what you're thinking at the time I'm recording this video. The number one question on your mind is, what about the second stimulus? At the time I'm recording this video, there is no consensus yet on a second stimulus, but we are getting there. And you've come to depend on me, so I promise you I will let you know as soon as the second stimulus bill does indeed happen. But in this video, I want to point out and I want to draw your attention to a phenomenal article and a phenomenal video by the Fix over at the Washington Post, and four reporters in particular that were interviewed for this video, and we'll watch this video together. By the way, I'll provide you with a link to this Washington Post article as well as this amazing video that was put together after analyzing hours and hours of footage by the Washington Post. So I don't deserve credit, they get credit. I want to give full credit to Jeff Stein, Amber Phillips, Heather Long, and Seung Min Kim, who you're about to see on camera. And again, I'll provide you with a link to this video in the description section below. And let's take a look at this on the Washington Post. This is the article on the Washington Post, and I'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below. So make sure you check out this article after you watch the video. The number one thing, the reason I'm making this video is I know that our viewers and subscribers are extremely frustrated. I know that there are individuals out there who are hungry. There are individuals out there who are on the verge of eviction. Long-term unemployment is on the rise. I know individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality are suffering. And I decided to do this video to help our viewers and subscribers understand why. You're trying to understand why. I'm going to actually watch this video with you. And if you want the short answer, if you want the bottom line right now, why? Politics and ideologies. That's it. Politics and ideologies. And I want you to see, I think when you look at this video, you're going to be quite surprised with all the different things that went on over the past few months. And hopefully, this will help you make sense of it. The human brain just needs to make sense of complex and unbelievable situations like we are in right now. Because I think when we can't make sense of something is when we tend to struggle more. My goal with the Ignition Time channel is to show you the truth and let you be the judge for yourself. So let's roll the tape, and I want you to see what went on over the past several months since the passage of the CARES Act. It blows my mind. Again, I want to emphasize this is some astonishing reporting, an astonishing collage of videos that has been put together. Once again, full credit to Jeff Stein, Amber Phillips, Heather Long, as well as Seung Min Kim, who you're about to see in this video. And again, you'll get a link to this video in the description section below. Let's roll the tape and take a look. And as we look at this video, I'll jump in and I'll chime in, and I'll also be responding to comments on this video, comments live. I want you to know that I think that our politicians are playing a game. And I think when you see this video, you'll realize for yourself. Let's roll the tape and watch this together.
People are asking for additional legislation. We're not ruling that out, but we think we ought to take a pause here.
The failure to act will be far more harmful than acting to solve these problems.
When the Republicans say we need a pause, as I keep saying, there's no pause in hunger and rent and your bills.
America will again and soon be open for business. This is what it is. It's this period of time. I think you're going to have a very strong transition, and then I think the fourth quarter is going to be incredibly successful.
Back in March, the U.S. economy was on the verge of another Great Depression. We shut down over a third of the U.S. economy just overnight. Over 20 million jobs were lost in the span of a few weeks.
Congress only grumbled a little bit when it passed trillions of dollars of aid, but that was one of the only bipartisan moments of this entire saga.
Since then, that moment has really dissipated, and we have not been able to again forge that bipartisan compromise that's allowed emergency relief to get into the hands of the American people, even when the need continues to be great.
It is imperative that we address the needs of the American people with clarity on how we proceed. That is why today, House Democrats are introducing the HEROES Act.
After all this frenetic legislating right as the pandemic hit America, things suddenly stalled in the late spring and early summer. Democrats were looking ahead to the pandemic getting worse in the fall, and they were hearing from state and local officials across the country that municipalities and cities and states risk having to make drastic cuts in their services.
Republican and Democratic mayors, governors, and the rest all want this bill to happen. Time is very important. We have lost time.
Part of the reason aid has been slow to get out is that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has a very sizable fraction of his caucus that not only opposes what Democrats want to spend, but is really opposed to any new federal spending.
We have spent more than enough money. We cannot spend our way out of this.
We got the virus from China, and now we're going to be more dependent by borrowing more money from China.
There's a day of reckoning. You know, our kids, our grandkids, they're going to pay for this.
There are ways to write legislation that it doesn't go towards, for example, shoring up pension systems, but they started calling this the blue state bailout.
President Trump was listening a lot to sort of conservatives within his administration that were nervous or opposed to spending much more money.
Another $3 trillion package just seems off target to me.
But then the president did a pretty dramatic about-face and started pushing very aggressively for another round of stimulus.
We'll be asking for additional stimulus money because once we get this going, it'll be far bigger and far better than we've ever seen in this country.
If there's any red line, it's on litigation.
Now, I want to emphasize one thing. This video is not intended to blame, because I think everybody is to blame. And I think what you saw so far, to be honest, when I first saw this video, it was hard for me to get through the video because I recognize the pain and suffering of everyone who's waiting for them to do something. And I do believe they're on the verge of doing something, and I promise you I'll report it to you on this channel. But I think what you saw so far shows you the completely different ideologies between the two sides. The Republicans want to be more fiscally conservative, and the Democrats want to be able to spend more. That's just one example. The president, as you know, has changed his positions. And what we saw so far was a recap of what happened earlier on in the summer during May with the passage of the HEROES Act. And then as we got closer and closer to the end of the year, you'll start to see how things got much worse and how the situation actually devolved completely. It is unfortunate that we've waited so long. And again, I want to give full credit to all the reporters that are being interviewed here and all the work that it took to put together a video like this. Full credit to them. I actually think you should check out the links in the description section below and comment. And let's resume the rest of the video and see how talks evolved after the end of the summer, leading up to where we are, which is fundamentally a long, dark winter for many of us. We'll go ahead and resume this video right now.
An epidemic has already begun.
I want to help the unemployed, but I don't want to pay you more in unemployment than you made it work.
We are unified in our support for the $600. They are in disarray.
What happened over the summer is that Republicans sought to put more money into the Paycheck Protection Program. They were hearing from small businesses across the country that were saying, we need more help for this. And the The response from Democrats was that they weren't going to put more money into PPP unless they could also make sure that the states and cities that were bracing for huge revenue hits were taken care of.
You also start to see divides emerge among the issue of unemployment insurance. Republicans were starting to argue that, maybe not cut $600 altogether, but maybe trim it to like $300 or $400.
There's been another big thorn in the side of these negotiations for months. Should Congress pass legislation to shield businesses from lawsuits about the coronavirus?
A lot of that aid expired at the end of July and early August. And what's happened in the last few months, nearly 8 million Americans have fallen into poverty. There simply are not enough jobs right now for all of these still 20 million people on unemployment to find work again. There was a lot of surprise in May and June at how quickly parts of the economy came back. The stock market had rebounded by the end of August, the most unequal recession since World War II. And it may be the most unequal recession in all of US history. We just don't have good enough data before World War II to be able to definitively say that.
The American people had hoped that the Senate would be spending this week finishing up another bipartisan agreement on coronavirus relief. But unfortunately, Senate Democrats chose to block it all.
McConnell saw the pressure that was coming from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Democrats who had kept passing these sweeping packages. That package from McConnell that gave Republican candidates cover, saying, we passed this bill, Chuck Schumer filibustered it.
I would like to see a bigger stimulus package, frankly, than either the Democrats or the Republicans are offering. I'm going in the exact opposite now, okay?
As the president looks really far behind in the polls, the White House came out with a $1.8 trillion economic relief proposal, and it included a lot of Democratic priorities. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected this package.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
Well, you know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill?
Pelosi's defenders will say, we may have not accepted the $1.8 trillion offer from the White House, but that offer was never really on the table because Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans were not serious about passing it.
Bottom line, Madam Speaker.
Now, I do want to emphasize that really quick. I see a lot of comments from our viewers and subscribers saying, hey, only if Speaker Pelosi had said yes to the $1.9 trillion package before the election. It may not be as simple as that because the Republicans didn't want to pass that large of a package. What I'm trying to say is this is a very complex situation. There are different political ideologies. There are different personal ideologies, and there are a lot of personal things at stake here. For example, the Speaker, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and President Trump have no relationship. I have done another video on our channel talking about the Speaker and the President. They fundamentally have no relationship. There is no relationship collateral for them to build on and work out some sort of an agreement, which honestly is the tragedy of this whole situation because President Trump, President Trump, I guess you could say whether you agree or not, whether he was in the talks or not, that's part of the stimulus negotiations or not. I guess different people would interpret that differently, but the President of the United States does have the ability to bring everybody into a room and say, hey, we're not leaving until this gets sorted out for the American people. So, it's really up to you what you feel about this. But I can tell you that, again, there is no relationship collateral, unfortunately, between key members of Congress and the president. And that is one of the reasons that we are so divided and why stimulus has taken so long. And again, let's get back to this video and see the rest of this analysis and how things evolved as we made our way through the fall into the winter. Let's take a look at the rest of the video.
Americans going to get relief before Election Day?
Well, that depends on the administration.
It was fruitless at the end of the day because neither side were ready to really make a deal that close to an election.
We have worked very hard to put together a $908 billion framework for COVID relief.
What really started to break the logjam were a group of moderate/dealmaker types. And in a surprise, Pelosi and Schumer actually endorsed this group's framework, almost kind of isolating McConnell at this point.
That is a lower amount than the White House put on the table earlier. When sort of asked about the discrepancy, Pelosi gave a very full-throated defense.
That was not a mistake. It was a decision, and it has taken us to a place where we can do the right thing without other, shall we say, considerations in the legislation that we don't want.
As much criticism as she got from, even her own ranks, particularly before the election, about holding out on a broader COVID relief package, if you look over the broad trajectory of these negotiations, she did come down considerably. Whereas Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he did come up a little bit, but not all that much.
One reason Democrats were willing to accept a lower number and get a coronavirus stimulus bill through is they're really hoping that President-elect Joe Biden gives a reset to all these negotiations when he becomes president. Is there a way that he can bring Republicans on board in a way that President Trump hasn't, especially because Trump has been missing from these negotiations?
We're not talking about a V. We're talking about a super V based on all of the numbers that you see.
I think what's really shaken a lot of Republicans recently, it's clear that momentum in this recovery has stalled. There's still nearly 10 million people who lost a job in March and April who haven't gotten it back.
Congress has failed to act for months, despite knowing that the American economy faces a series of extremely dramatic cliffs. We are looking at 12 million people right after Christmas losing their unemployment benefits. As many as 30 million American renters will be at risk of eviction. Tens of millions of people face utility shutoffs, and we're also seeing paid.
Many people are asking for additional legislation. We're not ruling that out, but we think.
Alexa, turn on the second plug. I want to make sure you folks can hear me. I think there was an interruption with the broadcast. Please confirm that you can hear me. Oh, okay, good. There was an interruption with that broadcast. This is what happens when you stream live, everyone. I'm actually going to go ahead and resume exactly where we left off. And what I want is for our viewers and subscribers to let me know, in your opinion, whose fault is this? Do you believe that House Speaker Pelosi is to blame? Do you believe that the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is to blame? Or do you feel the president is to blame? Maybe you feel everyone is to blame. I want to know why you think we've been waiting so long. Once again, the reason I'm making this video is I want us to make sense of all this, because this is just an unbelievable situation that is driving many of us right to the edge. I made this video because I want us to help make sense of all of this so we can understand both sides and then decide exactly where we stand. Let's get back to this video, and so I can show you exactly. Let's resume where we left off.
Gives a reset to all these negotiations when he becomes president.
Let's go back a little bit.
A very full-throated defense.
That was not a mistake. It was a decision, and it has taken us to a place where we can do the right thing without other, shall we say, considerations in the legislation that we don't want.
As much criticism as she got from, even her own ranks, particularly before the election, about holding out on a broader COVID relief package, if you look over the broad trajectory of these negotiations, she did come down considerably. Whereas Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he did come up a little bit, but not all that much.
One reason Democrats were willing to accept a lower number and get a coronavirus stimulus bill through is they're really hoping that President-elect Joe Biden gives a reset to all these negotiations when he becomes president. Is there a way that he can bring Republicans on board in a way that President Trump hasn't, especially because Trump has been missing from these negotiations?
We're not talking about a V. We're talking about a super V based on all of the numbers that you see.
I think what's really shaken a lot of Republicans recently, it's clear that momentum in this recovery has stalled. There's still nearly 10 million people who lost a job in March and April who haven't gotten it back.
Congress has failed to act for months, despite knowing that the American economy faces a series of extremely dramatic cliffs. We are looking at 12 million people right after Christmas losing their unemployment benefits. As many as 30 million American renters will be at risk of eviction. Tens of millions of people face utility shutoffs, and we're also seeing paid family leave benefits for tens of millions of people potentially expire.
The big question here that will forever remain unanswered is, could Trump have used his power and his authority with Republicans to bring them over? And then something could have been done much sooner.
The widespread view among economists is You have to do something right now. The real risk here from an economic perspective is the fear of a double-dip recession. Most economists and Wall Street analysts think that jobs won't be back fully until 2024. And that is going to hurt those families and reverberate throughout the economy for a lot longer to come.
So that was it, everybody. I thought that was an excellent recap from the Washington Post. Again, I'll provide you with the link to the article in the description section below. Let me give you my take on this for what it's worth. I know that there are people out there struggling. I can tell you that this is not your fault. And I can tell you definitively that the system is rigged. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that if you think the system is rigged, you're right. I think that this experience is going to teach us three things, and you've heard me mention this before on my channel. One, we should never ever be dependent on the government again. That's number one. Never ever. We never ever want to be dependent on the government again. Number two, I think that we need to learn how to make money, how to save money, and how to invest money. Now, if for you the basic priority is putting food on the table, paying rent, and keeping the lights on, let's get through that first. But long term, I think this has taught us never to be dependent. And number three, I believe that everybody is at fault. I don't believe that it's just Speaker Pelosi's fault or the Senate Majority Leader's fault or President Trump's fault. I think they could have all have done something more, something earlier to help the most vulnerable amongst us. My personal belief is that those who need help the most should get it. Unfortunately, what this has done is this has widened the gap between the rich and the poor. And I'm hoping we can use this as a learning experience. This is a very, very, very tough situation. It's a very complex situation. This is not black and white. This is not a black and white situation. This is a situation that we have never faced as a country. Never faced as a country. In fact, you heard Heather Long from the Washington Post say that this could be the worst economic crisis we've faced, even worse than World War II. We just don't have the data going back. And I think this will teach us, I believe, that the system will be re-engineered going forward. The one thing that I think should definitely be done going forward long term is the concept of the automatic stabilizer. What that means is if unemployment rises in a state, benefits should automatically kick in to help those who need it the most. That's called the concept of the automatic stabilizer. Right now, we have Republicans and Democrats arguing, and we have the president arguing. All of this can be completely eliminated if there is a way to have what's called as an automatic stabilizer mechanism. In other words, you look at the numbers and then the benefits get triggered accordingly. So this is, again, I want our viewers and subscribers to know that this is a tough situation. This is a very challenging situation, and I want our viewers and subscribers to know that I am with you. I understand how complex this situation is, and my goal is to give you the truth wherever it might lead us. Because again, this is a huge challenge. So that's it, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Let me know in the comment section below if this video allowed you to understand why we've been waiting for stimulus so long. By the way, negotiations are still ongoing as far as the next stimulus package is concerned. They are still arguing. I will be doing another video shortly where I give you the latest status of the stimulus negotiations. But the purpose of this video was to give you a very clear idea about, try to give you a clear idea about why they've made us wait so long. They've made us wait very long. Elvia Medellin said, we are seniors and on a fixed income. Most of us are dependent on this kind of support, and we're not getting that support. I feel you, Elvia. I feel you. I mean, our government should have done more, and definitely should have done more. Macbeth, how are you, my friend? Ray Dalio, you're right. Ray Dalio said that. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but Ray Dalio's 42-year-old son, died in a car accident in the past 24 hours. Just a shocking event with Ray Dalio, if you've been following the news. And Rude Alva says they are getting paid for BS and we are just waiting. Makes no sense. Look, guys, the reason I showed you this video was to show you the positions from both sides. Again, full credit to the reporting of the Washington Post. You'll find all the links in the resources below. But this is the complexity. Of our environment and where we stand. Hopefully, this video gave you a bit of an idea. But again, yeah, Elvia, always, I'm here for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Right now, there is no consensus yet on the stimulus negotiations, but I will let you know as soon as we have some definitive news. And there are some things that they are going back and forth on right now, and they're digging into their positions, both the Republicans and the Democrats. They've extended the funding for the government by 2 days through Saturday and Sunday. I don't think they'll do another government extension. I think we'll have a deal soon. It's just that these are the last minute tweaks that are going on. So that's it, everybody. I appreciate you watching. And Genovia, thank you for your words of empathy. This video was created to try and help our viewers and subscribers make sense of this, try and help you understand why we are waiting so long, just to answer the why, because I think that once the human brain understands the why, hopefully we can deal with it better. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Don't forget to comment below. We appreciate our community. I appreciate you all. I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye.